Diego Sanchez is the Director of Public Relations and External Affairs for the AIDS Action Committee. Mr. Sanchez has 26 years of experience in public and media relations, we could use you, marketing and diversity management. Hispanic Business Magazine named him among the top 100 most powerful Latinas in corporate America. Mr. Sanchez is a Rhodes Scholar candidate and a UMass Boston Emerging Leaders Senior Fellow. He holds a BA from the University of Georgia. Welcome, Mr. Sanchez. Glad that you're with us.
Mr. Chairman and members of the subcommittee, thank you for adding my voice to those you hear today. My name is Diego Miguel Sanchez, and I'm a 51-year-old transsexual Latino man. I was born female and transitioned to male. I grew up as an Army brat and ended up in Augusta, Georgia, where my 80-year-old mother lives today. When I was 5, I told my parents I was born wrong, that I felt like a boy inside. My mother showed me a magazine with Christine Jorgensen on the cover. She's told me that she didn't know if there were other people like me, people who were born a girl and felt like a boy, but that this woman was born a boy, grew up to be a man, and became a woman later in life. And she said that by the time that I grew up, that it would be okay. From that time, my parents gently, privately, dually socialized me. My mother taught me to do the things that girls needed to do, and my father raised me to know the lessons that men would have to know. It was difficult and painful. I have to be honest, I had as many tutus as Tonka trucks, but I could survive the former because of the latter. My parents always gave me hope, and my positive outlook on life is the fruit of that loving labor. Mom was mostly right. It's usually pretty okay for me these days. I'm grateful to be gainfully employed by the AIDS Action Committee of Massachusetts and AIDS Action Council here in Washington as the Director of Public Relations. My degree is in journalism from the University of Georgia. I have a major in public relations. I am the only male Georgia letterman that I know of who earned that letter on the women's tennis team. I was one of those straight A perfect attendance types. Dad always told me the harder you work, the luckier you get. I worked hard, and I am lucky. Because sex reassignment procedures weren't as developed in 1980 as they are now, I focused on work, hoping to change things later. I spent nearly 20 award-winning years in climbing the corporate ladder in global companies, names that you would know like Coca-Cola, Burson Marsteller, or Holiday Inn Worldwide, ITT Sheraton, and Starwood Hotels. I'm a loyal worker, a passionate leader, and a man who had to wait for fear of being fired to be who I was always destined to be, Diego Miguel Sanchez, an honorable man. My career entailed navigating the newly defined glass ceiling. It entailed probing limited opportunities for female professionals of color, and it entailed trying to find a way to be a man while I looked like a woman in the workplace. It was heartbreaking and painful, but it was necessary, and it was the only way that I knew to save money to have sex reassignment, which I did later from my own savings. I struggled to find self-respect in a world that I never imagined would allow, let alone accept or embrace, someone like me, someone who seemingly was born wrong. I was an honest person who could be honest about everything except myself. I negotiated with my corporate colleagues for things that would moderately affirm me, things that would mean nothing to anyone else meant so much to me. It meant everything to get a tie instead of a scarf as a company talisman. I asked people to use my first initial as my first name until I could change this medically and legally. I've lived long enough to achieve these gains because I was able to do the one thing that military families are taught when there's a challenge. I sucked it up. But when my head hits the pillow every night, I close my eyes and think about my friends who are transgender, whose lives aren't so easy. I miss my friend Alexander John Goodrum, who took his own life. I feel guilty about my brother, my friend Ethan St. Pierre, who lost his job just because he began his transition from female to male. I still recognize that he lost his job because he was brave and honest. And because I work in public health, I know countless transgender people who are homeless. These are good people who can't get work. I flash my ID every day. It's never questioned. But I have friends whose licenses and IDs don't match their gender identity. So they're disclosed as transgender the minute that they have to show that ID, including when they try to get work. I see this burden when recruiting firms do their due diligence and check my social security number. It closes doors for me, and it limits the lives of my friends. I grew up in the South where I wasn't allowed to be in public swimming pools because I'm not white. This experience of employment discrimination against trans people feels like a flashback. Please treat us, including me, transgender people, as you treat others. Thank you.